Denmark consistently tops the ranks of the world's happiest countries. So why is that? What this pretty book I have here argues is that on top of the welfare state and other perks, what sets Denmark apart from its Nordic peers and the rest of the world is its unique culture of hygge. Today I'll share you the 7 key takeaways from the book and I'll point you to exactly how you can make your own life more hyggelig. But to start, what is hygge? So hygge is a unique Danish atmosphere and experience. It has been loosely translated as the art of creative intimacy or the coziness of the soul or cocoa by candlelight. And as the book puts it, it's about being with the people we love, a feeling of home, a feeling that we're safe, that we are shielded from the world and allow ourselves to let our guard down. You may be having an endless conversation about the small or big things in life, or just be comfortable with each other's silent company, or simply just be by yourself enjoying a cup of tea. So with that said, let's go to the 7 keys of hygge. Number 1 is to light up more candles. So when the Danes are asked what they most associate with hygge, an overwhelming 85% of them mention candles. So there's no recipe for hygge complete without candles. The Danes spend like 6 kilos of candles per person per year. So by far the number 1 candle junkies in Europe. Like the second most candle burning country, Austria, just manages half of that. To put into context. This means that the Danes light up candles all the time, so 25% of the persons surveyed in the book say that they light up candles every single day. And if you count those who light the candles up like 4 to 6 times a week, you're already reaching a majority of Danes. And it's not just one candle, right? It's often 4, 5 or more candles at a time. There's something about candles that makes them cozy. The candlelight is a warm but definitely not too bright light, and in Denmark they're pretty much everywhere, especially in the dark months of winter. So it's just important that they are neutral, they're organic, and they're not artificially scented. Those kind of the rules that the Danes have when it comes to candles. And I have to say for myself, I definitely joined the candlelight bandwagon. We go through countless of candles in my family in autumn and winter, and we have them pretty much everywhere in our house, especially all the places that my son can just get his hands on. So we're talking about bathroom, kitchen, living room. As long as they're far enough from him, we're gonna have candles all over the place. But then it's not just candles. In Denmark, people take all types of lighting very seriously. So lamps, for instance, are a very big deal here, and the book also shows you examples of iconic Danish lamps and designs and things that are very unique to Denmark that you might actually see in a lot of different places. The second key is to make your own home more hyggeligt. So homes are central to life and social life in Denmark. So in other countries, maybe the most of the social life or even life as a whole, it takes place outside. So it can be outdoors, in restaurants, and in different places. But when it comes to Denmark, because of different reasons, for example, the weather, and also because restaurants are expensive, a lot of things happen at home. So what we call hjemmehygge or home hygge is a big deal here because of these reasons. To illustrate this, a full 7 out of 10 days saying that they experience the most hygge when they're at home and not outside. Danish homes are nice, so Danes love design, and when you walk into a Danish home, when you go and visit a Danish house, you'll be thinking that you're in the pages of an interior design magazine. So the reason for this obsession again with interior design that the Danes have is that again, homes are like the hygge headquarters. So that's what the book calls it, right? So, but then how do you make your own home more hyggelig? We already talked about candles, we already talked about lighting, so that's top of the list, that's already covered. But then what about wood? So in the Danes homes, you have a lot of wood in the house. So we're talking about wooden floors, we're talking about wooden tables, chairs, benches. And you can see in my own home, for instance, right? We have wood bench on the other side of the room, we have a wood table. But again, like when it comes to Danish homes, sometimes just wood is not enough. Like as the book puts it, like the Danes feel they need to bring the entire forest inside the house. So if you can bring leaves or nuts or twigs, animal skins, basically anything that you could think like the Viking squirrel would have as a furniture in her living room, just bring it in. And of course, with the Danish love of candles and the Danish love of wood inside a home that's full of candles, there's no surprise that Copenhagen has been burned to the ground on several occasions, and you can see fires quite often. We even had some fires in some of these buildings over here not long ago. So make sure you take fire precautions. I suggest that everyone also has a little fire extinguisher in their kitchen as well, just in case. Again, a lot of candles, a lot of wood, not a recipe for, safety here. Beyond this, up your game when it comes to blankets and cushions. They're just a must-have in any hyggelig household, so especially during the cold months of winter. So to snuggle up with a blanket is very hyggelig, and sometimes one will do this even though it's not really cold, and again, simply because it feels cozy. And blankets can be made out of wool and pretty thick as this one, but also it can be something like a bit, for example, for more warmer weather, you can get something that's more cottonish or just a lighter blanket as a whole. So, but again, also on top of this, like large or small cushions are also Hyggeligt essentials. So I mean, we have a lot of cushions inside the house as well. What the book also puts a special emphasis on is on finding what it calls a Hyggekrog, which is roughly translates as a nook. So it's this place at home where you can just snuggle up with a blanket, with a book, with a cup of tea, and just chill, right? So this Hyggekrog does not need to be like necessarily by the window, but it often is. You know, that's really Hyggeligt, as I said, right? And then how to furnish Hyggeligt and also how to find this Hyggekrog is apparently a really big deal here. So you can see that, or what the book says as well, is that there's some real estate agents that use like a Hyggeligt place, like a Hyggekrog inside the house to actually as a selling point of the house, saying, hey, you know, look, this Hyggekrog, it looks really cool. But there's one place that is the ultimate place for Hygge, and that is the fireplace. It's the ultimate Hygge headquarters. So the fireplace is somewhere where we sit by ourselves to rest while we're experiencing this ultimate feeling of coziness and warmth, or sometimes where we spend time with our close ones and intensify our feelings of togetherness. For your information, there are a lot of fireplaces in Denmark. This, of course, is just scratching the surface on what is a Hyggeligt home. There's, of course, a lot more, so think about ceramics and vintage, etc. If you haven't had a chance yet to spend time on a Danish home, I suggest that you go and check interior design shops, even just sometimes go and view houses that are for sale and so on. I genuinely recommend you to do so. There's so much nice design that it will actually get inspired for your own home in the future. 3 is to give yourself small pleasures. So if there's one thing you do in your fireplace, in your Hyggekrog, and in the most Hyggeligt places, is to indulge yourself in small pleasures. Sweets are Hyggeligt. Cake is Hyggeligt. Coffee and hot chocolate are also Hyggeligt as well. And this to the point that they have been associated in the survey as more Hyggeligt than candles themselves, the kings of Hygge. So hot drinks are definitely on the top of the list. But of course, carrot sticks are not so Hyggeligt. Something sinful is an integral part of the Hygge ritual. But it doesn't have to be something fancy or extravagant. So foie gras, for example, is not Hyggeligt, but at the same time, a hearty stew is, or popcorn is also Hyggeligt, especially if you're sharing the same bowl with your friend. On this last point, something critical is that Hygge is an atmosphere which cannot be improved just by spending money on it, rather the opposite, right? So Hygge is something about appreciating the small pleasures in life, the simple pleasures that can be achieved sometimes on a shoestring budget. If you want more Hygge in your life, there's just not enough money that you can just throw into the thing and just make it more Hyggeligt. Of course, you can buy the candles, you can buy the wood to have that inside the house, right? But beyond that, it's just again about the simple things, about the small pleasures. You can't buy really expensive stuff that will make your life and your home more Hyggeligt. But with that said, of course, you can buy more cake, and just as I said, cake is very Hyggeligt. According to the Sugar Confectionery of Europe, the annual consumption of confectionery in Denmark is 8.2 kilos per person, making the Danes only second to the Finns in the people that eats the most sweets anywhere else in the world, and that's twice the European average. So again, like, maybe this is an excuse the Danes have to say, okay, you know, that's why I'm gonna eat all these sweets, but that's definitely something you can do to be more Hyggeligt. And one more small pleasure you can give to yourself is to subscribe to this channel. I post videos like this every single week. Number 4 is to dress Hyggeligt. So inside and outside your home, you can dress up a lot more Hyggeligt. You can up your game in terms of Hygge in the way you dress. And for this, the number 1 key thing is a scarf. So this goes also for men and for women. And predominantly in the winter, and alas, you know, the winter in Denmark is 6 months long, the golden rule is that when it comes to scarf, the bigger the better. So you should just get this very thick wrap scarf, like this wool scarf ideally, and then like it has to be big enough that you're just one stop short of risking a neck injury. But again, that's what the book recommends. And then one more thing is that in Denmark, everyone wears black, as you can see here. So you should do as well. Once you get out of the Copenhagen airport, you'll actually see this. You'll see that most people are wearing black, to the point, as the book says, that you're just walking to the set of a ninja movie. What the book says as well is that you should aim for a style that is stylish and monochrome, meaning that you should try to use black as much as you can, right? But at the same time, you can also go with something as crazy and flamboyant as gray, for instance, when it comes to summer. But then when it comes to combining Hygge with fashion, what the book recommends is that you should go with hand-knitted wool sweaters, jumpers and cardigans, a pullover on top of that, and sometimes you can say black leggings for girls and skinny jeans for boys will just give you this balance again of Hygge and fashion. But if you want to go especially crazy, what you can do is also get these colorful socks that the Danes do, but that's pretty much it. Number 5 is to embrace presence and equality. So we already talked that you can really buy the sense of togetherness and the atmosphere that comes with Hyggeligt. There's again no more money you can throw into that make it better than, you know, any normal person with a shoestring budget will do. But to take that to the next level, just note that the more money and prestige that is associated with something, the less Hyggeligt that thing becomes. So the more simple and primitive in a way the activity is, then yes, the more Hyggeligt it is. So again, drinking tea is going to be more Hyggeligt than drinking champagne, playing board games is going to be more Hyggeligt than playing computer games, and cooking food at home or eating biscuits are gonna be more hygge than just buying fruit from outside and buying cookies that are again there from the shop. And again, the key here is that hygge is charged with a strong orientation and commitment towards experiencing the present moment. Again, like getting your hands dirty by baking at home is like an absolutely hyggeligt activity you can do by yourself, or as else you can also do with your friends, with the family. Again, few things contribute to the biggest hygge factor than again the smell of freshly baked goods that you're doing at home with your friends, that you were actually having a nice conversation and drinking tea at the same time. Of course, you can hygge by yourself, so snuggling under a blanket, watching your favorite TV show on a rainy Sunday afternoon, especially if there's a thunderstorm, while you're having a hot chocolate. That's especially in a hygge crock, if you can, by a window. I mean, that's super hyggeligt. But again, the most hyggeligt moments can happen or will happen when you're doing like something like this, but in company of other people. One quick note for expats is that Danes prefer smaller circles of friends when they are looking for hygge. So of course you can have a hyggeligt time with quite a few people, but what the book says is that almost 60% of Danes say 3 to 4 people is the absolute best number when it comes to hygge. The sixth way to make more of your life hyggeligt is to build traditions. So it's a common knowledge that the best part of memories is to make those memories. So start a new tradition with your friends and family. It can be, for example, to play board games the first Friday of each month, or celebrating the summer solstice by the sea each time, or whatever it can do to unite you and your friends as a group around a meaningful activity that will help you get more together and more, let's say, tightly together over the course of the year. Specific things that are hyggeligt, for instance, are, as I said many times, board games. And board games are good because they are kind of, again, as a social activity, you play together. It's kind of this low-key, low-fancy activity, while at the same time you can be drinking a cozy tea and like be snuggled with a blanket while you're playing with your friends and making fun of each other, so that's nice. Then, for instance, to play bowls or petanque, that's also pretty hyggeligt as well. It's a great way to hang out with your friends and family, especially outdoors as well. And it's also informal, it's slow, and allows for conversation at the same time while you're playing. So it's not going to be these ultra competitive things where you're actually going crazy with each other. For instance, next time if you have not played this, just find a nearest park with a stretch of gravel you can use as a petanque field, and just take your blankets and picnic and so on, and just go and play that, for instance, right? So, and of course, the top of the list of hyggeligt activities could be to go on a ski trip with your friends, because of like the atmosphere, the hot drinks, the hygge cabins, the just sense of togetherness that you have while it's dark outside and hanging out with your friends in the mountains. I mean, that's gonna be definitely super nice as well. Number 7 and last is to go all in on the Christmas spirit. So Christmas itself is the 4th most hyggeligt thing according to a survey, after hot drinks, candles and fireplaces. It just encapsulating everything. So there's of course the Christmas food, there's the decorations, there's advent calendar, there's like trees, and it's just beautiful, right? It's the happiest time of the year, as I say. I'm from Argentina, where we celebrate Christmas in the midsummer. So remember, in the southern hemisphere the seasons are just the opposite of in the northern hemisphere. And just one of the best things for me about moving to Europe was to be able to see Christmas the way it's supposed to be, with like the snow, the lights, the real trees and more. And there's something magical about going around Tivoli in the Christmas time, especially when it's snowing, hitting Christmas concerts all over the city, all up while you're just snuggled up in your nice scarf while drinking a warm glögg or a hot chocolate. Again, it just makes the whole of December to be worth here. I can't say the same about November and January, right? But December is nice. And I hope you enjoyed this special type of video. Next up, you should definitely watch this one over here, where I give further tips on how to survive winter in Denmark. So thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you again next week.